Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 80 Rebuild. My name is Kye.
And my name is Jez. We're also known as Santa Outback.
In today's episode, we're going to be installing the Kinselas Custom GE Steering Box Upgrade Kit.
We used this same kit on the old 80 series, so it was a no-brainer to do the same with the new 80 Rebuild.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
Why is there an extra letter in there?
FT.
Say
it again and again and again.
So
just keeps do something.
But it also, excuse me.
So back for another episode.
Which means we are undeniably insane that we're still going on with this rebuild.
Going insane, yes, correct.
Oh, slowly going insane. Imagine what we're going to be like at episode 30.
Yeah, well,
We'll be literally hanging from the ceiling.
What are we now? Halfway through this year? Yeah.
Very, very exciting to be back for another episode though. Every episode is going to get more exciting because it just means we're getting closer to the end of the rebuild, really. Got to enjoy the journey, but also we want to get back into four-wheel drive and camping.
Yeah, we have missed a fair bit of that.
Heartbreak.
But anyway, this episode we are fitting the engine mounts from the old 80 as the new one has 3F engine mounts and they are no good to use. Instead of them being halfway down the chassis rail, they are at the very front, which is, I've never seen that before, but anyway, this one only fits 3FE.
You and me, we're learning together.
It's just Toyota things. Anyways, they're going in the bin. We've got the new ones out. We're just cleaning them up now. So I don't really have a lot of clips of me actually welding and tacking the brackets in, but I'm just cleaning the brackets up with a grinder and also a die grinder and a hammer to straighten out one of the braces that got bent when I removed it from the old 80. I'm going to bolt them back to the FT engine and fit the H151 gearbox. So there's no actual clips of me putting the engine in, but I've basically put the engine in, bolted it up to the trans. I've put these brackets onto the FT engine on the mounts and then put the engine mounts from the old 80 onto the FT engine, lowered it down, and then as you can see here, I've tacked them onto the actual chassis as if that's where it's originally sat. So those mounts are exactly where they need to be for when I put the FTE engine in.
Next, we're putting in the H151 gearbox and then we can slot in the FT engine. Not FTE, just FT. Confusing, I know, but...
Now I'm just using the engine crane to lift the gearbox up so I can get it onto the transmission jack. This transmission jack has been so handy, especially with pulling out two different transmissions, and will be handy for later on for maintenance. Now I'm just lifting the car up on the hoist so I can get the transmission underneath and bolt it back up. The reason I'm putting the transmission in first is it's a guide to where the engine will have to sit when it's installed. So I'm just using 1/2-inch rattle gun, rattling the bolts up, trying to get the brace as centered as possible, as if it was exactly where it needed to be when it came out of the car. At the moment, we don't have the FT engine together, and I still have the FT engine, so same block, bolt that in, tack them in place, done.
Okay, that does make sense.
So the gearbox is in, bolted up, engine has been in and out, so we got the engine mounts tacked in place. Now we are just having a quick look at the Kinselas Custom steering box kit and everything that it includes.
All right, so with the steering box, we're opting for a GU steering box, and Kye is going to explain why.
The reasons for this is the steering box for the GU's bigger.
Better. Sorry, I just want to be a part of it.
Stronger, they aren't prone to leaking, they can handle larger tyres, 80 series gearboxes. Half the reason why they leak is because they're old plus big tyres. They're just not an overall big box, so they can't handle the strain that it causes to steer the vehicle.
Also, if you're watching this video, our video right now, you probably already know that a lot of people have done this steering box conversion as well. So it's not uncommon. Yeah, it's not uncommon. We're not the first ones to do it.
Yeah.
So it is tried and tested and trusted.
I mean, we've had the same GU steering box in the old 80 and there was no issues with it, never leaked. I think I've had to adjust it once maybe, if that, but other than that, it's been fine.
After a very long debate between us, we've finally come to the conclusion that the GU steering box will be the only Nissan part in the car. And then most of the other parts will be either genuine Toyota or some other random brands.
Mainly custom, but it is what it is.
Oh no, my brother, you got to get your own. That's what I'm going to say when you go to get in the car for the first time. You got to get
I'll leave you behind. Go on. See ya. Off into the sunset. So what is included in the kit?
Included in the kit is
fish plate that has 80 series bolt holes for the steering box and also the GU ones that you can obviously drill and put crush tubes in. There's also a rear gusset, but we won't be using it, and also another gusset for the panhard bar that we will not be using.
Also, it's gone because
everything with the steering will get in the way.
What he said.
Also has 2 fittings that fit the GU steering box connected up to the lines for the steering on the 80 series side, as well as a collet that has a taper for 80 series ball joint. We'll not be using that because the old one already has that collet in it because we had this kit in our old 80.
Fascinating.
So we're just putting the fish plate on now, putting the bolts in, marking the holes for the GU bolts and drilling through the chassis.
It's kind of daunting, eh? Drilling into the chassis.
We've already done it with that one.
Oh. It is very, very crucial that you get the holes level so that when the bolts pull up, they pull up flush.
It's important that they're not on the piss because otherwise they can snap. So the process with this step is cleaning the chassis, making sure it's all clean, ready to go, and fitting the fish plate with the 80 series bolt holes, knocking the bolts through so it holds the fish plate exactly where it needs to go, and then marking the GU bolt holes just with a paint marker, and then removing the fish plate, center punching the holes, and then drilling through the first part of the chassis. There's a lot of back and forth, making sure you get the holes exactly center before you drill them. Otherwise, when you go to put your crush tubes in, weld those in, then put your fish plate on, if your bolt holes are out slightly, you're going to have to start elongating the actual fish plate itself, which is not really handy to do. So what I've done, once I've center punched them, I've put the fish plate back on with the bolts through the 80 series mount bolts, and then that's kind of using the fish plate as a guide to drill the holes through the chassis. Now, drilling through the next section of the chassis is a bit harder because you don't know exactly if your drill bit is level or not. This I kind of guesstimated where it needed to go and drilled through with a real skinny drill bit and slowly got it out to, I think, 1/2 inch, and then rechecked it. Then after die grinding them out, I got the crush tube all the way through, put a mag base angle sensor to make sure I got the crush tubes as level as possible. This step is quite time consuming, but it's very important to make sure those crush tubes are level, otherwise your bolts will sit on an angle. All right, so now we got the holes level, we can go ahead and cut our crush tubes to length. I've made them slightly longer just so it makes it a bit easier to get into spots, especially with welding. Using the horizontal bandsaw, I'm just buffing up the ends of the crush tube so that it's actual metal, so I've got a good weld, good penetration, there's no contaminants in it. So now I'm just pushing the crush tube so it's level on the outside of the chassis and welding around the crush tube, and then I'm going to end up grinding that back flush so that the fish plate doesn't sit out from the chassis. I'm just removing the steering dampener to get a bit more room around the crush tubes, and now I'm just welding around the crush tubes on the inside of the chassis. This was a bit tedious and hard to do. I had to do sections of welding, lots of starting and stopping, making sure that I weld fully around the crush tube. All right, so I've just finished putting in the crush tubes. They're all welded in now, in place. So here's a couple clips of how the finished product looks. Not fully welded in yet. That's where I'm going to leave it until I'm ready to do the final welds. I've actually removed this panhard bracket so I can get to the last one. Had to remove it anyway because the panhard needs to be longer. The fish plate is welded on now. The crush tubes behind, as you would have seen, have been tack welded as well and then ground flush. The bolt holes all drilled out. The crush tubes themselves, because of the way they're made, they actually have a lip on the inside, so I had to drill those crush tubes out as well. So the bolts that come in the kit, not all of them are exactly the same length. Some are a bit longer than others, and the reason for that I think is because one of the holes you have to drill goes through the old panhard bracket. I'm not using the old panhard bracket, so I'll just have to find bolts that are all the same length now, which is not an issue. So the next stage after this will be the suspension side of it, which will come in a later episode, but I needed to get this out the way, done, so that I could figure out the rest of the geometry and how the 3-link is going to fit in there. So we're ready to start on the suspension after this is all done. that's pretty much the GE steering box upgrade. So the next stage will be cutting off all the factory mounts for the front suspension so we can start mocking up the 3-link. Now that the steering box is all done, we have everything in place to actually figure out the 3-link and how it's going to work and make sure everything's going to miss. Now I'm just going to show you some quick shots of what the finished product looks like, obviously unwelded, but I just want to show you all the fish plate and everything tacked in place, the crush tubes all welded in, and a bit of the notching on the coil tower that I've already done. So these 4 bolt holes are your original 80 series mounts, and these are the GU steering box holes. So you move the whole steering box forward because the GU steering box is a lot larger. Just circular tube I've chucked in, it's 50 ID, but it is still contacting the bolt on the inside that locks this yoke to the shaft, and is also hitting this bolt when it's in, hits this part of the tube as well. So I have to go from 50 ID to 65 ID, so I have to order that. All this has happened is because I've chucked in, a bit hard to see, this plate here I've chucked in to strengthen from Kinselas Kustoms, becomes part of the kit. So that's the next issue arises there. So I have to pull that coil tower back out. I don't have the tube, so there's no point pulling it out right now. All right, now to the exciting stuff. We have made a big purchase, but we are glad we did it. So we went out and bought a hydraulic press, a 45-ton hydraulic press from Hare & Forbes.
It's the MetalMaster HP45P. Looking at it right now. The purchase was maybe a little bit pricey. Just a little bit pricey.
I think it was all up $2,200, not for the press. The press itself was $1,650-ish on sale, I think. And the press brake attachment that we bought with it was about $550. That press brake attachment is good for 6 to 10 mil. So we're making pretty much all of our brackets out of 6 mil, so it's well within the range. This is not only going to be used for pressing up metal, but general maintenance, pressing bearings in and out.
If you're planning on doing like a full rebuild with any car, not just an 80 series, but you know, a full rebuild like we're doing, I would say that this piece of equipment is not necessary. You can do it without it. It just makes the process so much longer when you're freehand pressing metal, essentially, or bending metal. Yeah, so this is like, it just makes the process a lot quicker.
Yeah.
This purchase is definitely going on the unplanned list for the rebuild. We didn't originally plan on getting this, but adding up the pros and cons, like pros for us definitely outweighed the cons. So, and it will be something that we use going into the future as well, past this rebuild. We'll probably use this for the trailer build as well.
Yeah, trailer build.
And the boat restoration maybe.
But it's multi-purpose. It doesn't have just one use. Very versatile bit of gear. And doesn't mean you have to go buy, I don't know if we already mentioned, it's a 45-ton press. So it's quite extensive. It's a bit bigger than your normal press that you see in most shops. Like that most people have, like people normally have a 20 to a 30-ton, which is plenty. It's enough to do all your normal maintenance, but for bending metal, especially 6 mil or even higher, you need that extra tonnage to actually bend the metal.
To be honest, it's when I look at it, right, it's me looking at it, I reckon it actually looks like it would cost more than what we paid.
Yeah.
Anyways, so unexpected purchase, just sprinkle that in the mix, but it's fine.
And putting it together was actually quite easy, as you can see. The frame was already together, just had to bolt on the feet and put the hydraulic reservoir on the side and fill it with oil, pump it up a few times, blade the system, and it was good to go. Same with the press brake. Press brake was just 2 bits of metal, just got to slide them together, spring in between, and put your Allen keys in, and that was it. Yes, expensive, but well worth it, especially in the long run. And the oil that we've used in it is just ISO 68, just hydraulic, good quality hydraulic oil, same stuff that I've put in the hoist, and that's pretty much it on that front. And another cool feature about the press is the bed is actually a ratchet system, so there's no need for actually lifting the whole bed up by hand and repinning it. It has a winch on the side of it that lifts the bed up and down, nice and easy. Another cool little feature. That's pretty much it on the hydraulic press side of it.
Guys are right, I suppose. It's going to be very, very handy.
All right, so the press is all put together, done. The metal bender is also put together, pretty easy. Just have to slide this top piece onto there, put a spring between it, lock these in with Allen key bolts. So that's all done. But that is it for this episode. So what did we do this episode? We cleaned up the engine mounts, tacked those in, installed the GE steering box upgrade kit, almost finished it, but we need to look at some other stuff before everything is fully done.
As always, if you'd like to know any more information or specific details about what we're doing, feel free to comment down below or reach out to us and message us over on Instagram. All of our social links are linked down below, as well as any useful information or links to any tools, equipment, parts, or companies that we are talking about, referring to, that we've purchased from. If you'd like to stay in the loop with when new episodes are coming out, make sure to hit that subscribe button. At this stage, it's very likely that we'll have a new episode coming out every week, which is very exciting. Although this is only episode 4, we have got plenty more episodes coming. This is as in-depth as we could probably make it more in-depth, but trying to keep it short enough so that it's enjoyable to still watch, but informative enough that you get loads of information out of it.
But that's it for now, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
See ya.